Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be diving into the Emperor's Club,
Oh, excellent.
and we are going to be taking a look at the character of William Hundert
Yes.
through a fascinating psychological lens.
I like it already.
We're going to be looking at him as a social one,
Okay.
and you might be more familiar with the term one, you know?
Enneagram 1.
Yeah, Enneagram 1. We're going to stick with social 1, though, because we're really going to emphasize
Always.
social and interpersonal
Yeah.
aspects of this type.
And those are crucial because all ones, they're driven by this really deep need to improve, to perfect, to make things better.
Right.
But the social one, as described by theorists like Naranjo, is particularly focused on correcting and guiding others.
So guiding others
Yeah.
to be better.
To be better, to do better, to think better, to act better. Yeah.
So if you are not familiar with the social 1 personality type, imagine somebody who has just a very strong sense of right and wrong.
Right and wrong, yeah.
And not just for themselves.
It's bigger.
Yeah, for the world around them.
Yes.
And this leads to some pretty interesting
It does.
and sometimes even contradictory traits.
There are some real paradoxes here. I think that's what makes it so interesting to explore.
Absolutely.
So, for instance, social ones are known for this thing called inadaptability.
Okay.
And it's this almost rigid adherence to their own principles, their own values.
Okay.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
they often possess a very deep sense of superiority.
That's so interesting
Yeah.
because those two things seem at odds with each other.
Well, they can be
Yeah.
until you really unpack what's going on there.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does all of this play out with William Hundert? How do we see,
Yes. How do we see these?
how do we traits come to life?
Yeah. How do we see these characteristics come out?
Right.
in this character, in this man? Well, just think about his unwavering belief in classical education. I mean,
Okay.
He truly believes that his way,
Okay.
his methods are the correct way to teach,
Yeah.
to learn, even to live.
Right.
And that conviction, that certainty,
Yeah.
is classic social one.
So it's not even just...
Beyond passion.
Yeah, it's not even just like a passion for the subject.
Oh,
It's like he is the...
it's deeper.
Yeah.
It's like he is the guardian of a certain moral order.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we see that also in his insistence on having
Oh,
this
absolutely.
Mr. Julius Caesar competition.
Yeah, the Mr. Julius Caesar competition.
Even when it seems like maybe it's a little bit,
Outdated.
outdated or old-fashioned.
Anachronistic, yeah.
Yeah, he's clinging to it.
He's clinging to it.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Why? Why is that?
Well, because I think for Hundred, that competition is not just about history.
Okay.
It's a test of character.
Oh.
It's a way to measure virtue
Okay.
according to his own very specific standards. It embodies that social one need to not only be right, but to prove it,
Oh, wow.
to have others acknowledge their superiority.
So he has to be right and everyone else has to know it.
Everyone else has to see it.
Yeah.
Everyone else has to acknowledge it.
Yes. And that moral authority, that need to be right,
Yes.
just radiates off of him.
Oh, he does.
We see it in his demeanor, his clothing, even like his formal attire.
Yes.
His very precise diction.
Very precise.
Even his movements.
And measured movements, yes.
Yeah, very measured.
It all contributes to this
Yeah.
air of, almost like an aristocratic aura.
Yeah, almost like an aristocratic bearing.
Absolutely.
And, he may not use like brute force,
Right.
but the social one
Yes.
is incredibly effective at making other people,
Feel lesser than.
feel wrong.
Yes.
It's subtle.
It's subtle,
Yeah.
but it's potent.
Yeah.
Think about the scene where he confronts Cedric Bell about his behavior. And he uses the story of Shutruk Nahunte.
Yes.
He's not yelling at him.
Right.
He's not threatening him.
Right.
But that story,
Right.
that moral judgment,
Yeah.
it cuts deep.
It really does.
Yeah.
So we see this really strong moral compass
Yes.
in Hundert. This idea of right and
Oh,
wrong.
black and white. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very clearly defined.
Define.
But I'm wondering if it's truly,
Pure morality.
Yeah.
Is it really?
like, is there something else going on?
Is there something else lurking beneath the surface?
Yeah.
That's a great question. And I think it gets to the heart of what Naranjo called moralism in the social one.
Okay.
It might look like morality on the surface,
Okay.
but underneath, there's often this rigid,
Okay.
almost judgmental quality to it.
Oh.
And it's less about genuine virtue
Okay.
and more about maintaining a sense of superiority.
So it's not just about doing the right thing.
It's about being seen
It's about being,
as the one who knows what's right.
yes, Being the one who knows what's right.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing.
That's the key, yeah.
So sometimes that need to be right, that moral authority
Yes.
can actually lead to some pretty ironic
It can.
contradictions.
It can.
You're talking about him changing Bell's grade
I am.
to give him a shot at the competition.
Yes. To give him a shot at winning. Exactly.
Yes.
It's such a fascinating moment because he compromises his own principles.
Right.
The very things he holds so dear.
Yeah.
And he does it all for the sake of what?
I don't know. What is he doing it for?
I mean, is he trying to prove a point?
Right.
Is he trying to uphold the image of the competition's integrity?
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
it's unclear.
Yeah.
But it really shows how the social one's need to be right can sometimes override their own moral code.
Wow.
Yeah. And that brings us to another really fascinating aspect of Hundert's character, his intellectual coldness.
He's very controlled.
Very controlled.
Very precise in his interactions.
Very precise, yes.
It's almost like he's channeling all of his emotions
Yes.
into intellectual pursuits.
And that's a common defense mechanism for the social one.
Oh.
Instead of expressing anger or frustration directly,
Okay.
they sublimate those emotions.
Oh.
They transform them
Okay.
into something that's more socially acceptable. Intellectual superiority.
So instead of yelling
Yes.
or getting visibly upset,
Right.
they channel that energy.
They channel it
Yeah.
into these meticulously crafted lectures.
Yes.
These moral lessons.
It's like they're saying, I am above those messy emotions.
I'm too rational.
Yes.
I'm too principled for that.
Yes, exactly.
Think about that opening speech that he gives about character being destiny.
Right.
It sounds wise,
Yeah.
but there's this subtle undercurrent
Of something.
of something else there,
Yeah.
almost like a controlled burn of anger,
Yeah.
carefully disguised as wisdom.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fascinating
I am.
how these like seemingly positive traits.
They can be positive,
Yeah.
but they have a shadow side.
Yeah, like a strong moral compass or intellectualism
Exactly.
can have this hidden shadow side.
Yes.
But I think this brings us to what is truly the tragic element
Yes.
of William Hundert's story.
His tragic flaw.
Yeah.
Are you referring to the fact that his unyielding belief in his methods,
Yes.
his inability to adapt,
Yes.
ultimately contributes to his failures?
Yes. Particularly with Bell.
Especially with Bell.
Yeah, that second Mr. Julius Caesar competition where Bell cheats again. Despite all of the,
All the moral guidance.
yes, all of the lessons, all of the,
The wisdom.
yes, it's heartbreaking to watch
It really is.
because it shows how the social one's absolute conviction in being right
Yes.
can actually be their downfall.
It's like they're so focused on correcting others,
Yes.
on imposing their worldview,
Right.
that they miss these crucial details,
Yeah.
these crucial opportunities for genuine connection.
Yes, and let's not forget about Hundert's relationship with Martin Play.
Oh, yes, Martin Blythe.
There's this constant focus on correction,
Yes.
on molding him into what Hundert believes he should be.
That dynamic, I think, perfectly illustrates the social one's core belief,
Yeah.
that it's not enough for them to have the right way.
Oh.
Everyone else needs to conform to it as well.
Wow.
Yeah, they see themselves as the model,
Okay.
the standard to which everyone should aspire.
So it's not even just about living by a set of principles.
It's about making sure everyone else lives by those principles too.
Yes.
Yeah, and that creates this constant need for correction, for control.
And we see that in
Yeah.
his controlled demeanor, where his
Absolutely.
intellectual approach to conflict.
Yes.
The way he turns confrontations into these moral lessons.
Yes, all classic defense mechanisms for the social one.
Yeah.
They're all about maintaining that sense of control, of superiority,
Yeah.
even in the face of challenge.
It's like he has built this intellectual and moral,
Fortress.
fortress around
A
himself.
fortress. Yeah.
Deflecting, always in control.
Always in control.
It makes you wonder, can someone so entrenched
Yeah.
in those social one patterns
Right.
ever truly change?
That's the question, isn't it?
But we'll delve into that more a bit later.
We will indeed.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Stay with us.
Yeah, it's like he's crafted this really intricate suit of armor.
Yeah.
You know, this blend of intellect and morality
Yeah.
that shields him from true vulnerability.
It makes you think about the trade-offs, right?
It does.
This drive to improve, to uphold these really high standards.
Yeah.
It has its merits,
It does.
but at what cost?
Right. What's the price of that rigidity?
Can somebody like Hundert,
Yeah.
who's so deeply rooted in those social one tendencies,
Yeah.
find a way to break free from that rigidity?
Yeah, that's the question that lingers, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, remember those final scenes in the film?
Yes.
He's teaching a new generation of students.
Right.
And while there's a glimmer of self-awareness there,
Okay.
a hint that maybe he's learned something from his past mistakes,
Right.
that fundamental approach,
Right.
that need for control,
Yes.
it seems largely unchanged.
It's a bittersweet ending.
It is.
On one hand, he's still passionate about education. He's
Yeah.
still trying to impart his wisdom.
Yes.
But that same rigidity,
Yeah.
that same social one intensity
Right.
is still there.
It's palpable.
It makes you wonder, can those core traits truly be transformed?
Yeah.
Or are they just a part of who he is?
Yeah, it really highlights the complexity of personality, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, are we bound to repeat our patterns, or is genuine change possible?
Right.
I think it's
Very
something
well.
to consider, not just in terms of William Hundert,
Yeah.
but as we reflect on the social one type in general
Okay.
and how it might manifest in our own lives or the people we know.
Because let's face it, we all have aspects of these different personality types.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
this deep dive isn't about labeling ourselves or others.
Right.
It's about gaining a deeper understanding of the forces that shape our behavior,
Yeah,
the motivations that drive us.
I think that's a really important point.
Yeah.
By exploring these archetypes, these
Yeah.
personality types,
Yeah.
we gain a more nuanced perspective on human nature,
Right.
both its strengths and its potential pitfalls.
Yes. So in a way,
Yeah.
this deep dive into William Hundert's character isn't just about him.
No,
It's about all of us.
it's about recognizing those social one tendencies within ourselves,
Yes.
within our own interactions.
Yeah, and I think what resonates with me most
Yeah.
is that idea of the social one's unwavering conviction.
Yeah, their belief in their own rightness.
Yeah.
It can be admirable
Okay.
and inspiring,
Yeah.
but as we've seen with hunters, it can also be blinding.
Absolutely.
It's a powerful force, for
Mhm.
sure. And it begs the question, how do we reconcile that drive for improvement,
Right.
that dedication to principles,
Yeah.
with the need for flexibility,
Yes.
for empathy,
Right.
for understanding that there's more than one right way?
Right, because ultimately, isn't that what we're all striving for?
I think so.
To live in a world where judgment gives way to understanding, where differences are celebrated,
Yeah,
where growth and evolution are possible,
Yeah.
both individually and collectively.
well said.
So
Yeah,
this conversation gets really interesting here.
I agree.
What if instead of viewing the social one's need for correction
Yes.
as a negative trait,
Okay.
we reframe it as a potential strength?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Turning it on its head.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to control or fix others,
Yeah.
what if they could channel that energy inward
Okay.
toward their own growth and development?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine a social one
Yeah.
who, armed with self-awareness and a willingness to challenge their own assumptions, should harness that drive for improvement,
Yeah.
not to dominate others, but to become the best version of themselves.
That's a powerful image.
It is.
It's like taking all that intensity, all that passion,
Right.
and redirecting it
Yeah.
toward personal growth
Yes.
and genuine connection with others.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe,
Yeah.
that's the path to transcending the limitations of the social one personality.
Okay.
The path to becoming a force for positive change,
Yeah.
both in their own lives
Yeah.
and in the world around them.
So as we wrap up our deep dive
Yeah.
into William Hundert and the social one,
Yes.
I'm curious, what are your takeaway?
What resonates most with you?
Yeah. About this personality type.
Yeah. Do you recognize any of these traits
Yeah.
in yourself or in someone you know?
And if so,
Yes.
how might this understanding
Yeah.
help you to navigate those relationships, those
Yeah.
dynamics
With more
awareness?
awareness,
Yeah. More compassion.
compassion,
And perhaps even a touch of humor.
a little bit of lightness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, this deep dive isn't just about dissecting a fictional character.
No, it's not.
It's about sparking those moments of self-reflection.
Yeah, those aha moments.
Yes.
Where we see ourselves and the world around us in a new light.
Yeah, it's like holding up a mirror, isn't it?
It is.
We see Hundert's struggles, his triumphs, and
Mhm.
it makes us wonder, is there a little bit of Hundert in me?
I think that's the beauty of this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about judgment.
Right.
It's about understanding.
Right.
By exploring this personality type,
Yeah.
we gain insights not only into this fictional character,
Right.
but also into ourselves and
Yeah.
the people around us.
So if we were to distill everything
Okay.
that we've learned about William Hundert and the social one into
Yeah.
a few key takeaways,
Yeah.
what would they be?
Well, I think first and foremost, the social one is driven by this very deep-seated
Need to be right,
Okay.
to uphold a sense of moral superiority.
Right. And it's not even just about having strong convictions.
No, it goes beyond that.
Yeah.
It's about this inherent need to correct others,
Right.
to impose their worldview on those around them,
Yeah.
which leads to this fascinating dynamic where they can exert power not through force or aggression,
Okay.
but through moral judgment.
Oh,
It's that subtle art of making others feel wrong,
right.
of highlighting their flaws,
Yeah.
that really sets the social one apart.
And while they might present themselves as these paragons of virtue,
Yes.
as we saw with Hundred,
Right.
that moral judgment can sometimes be
Yes.
this form of rigid moralism,
Yeah.
more about maintaining a sense of superiority
Yes.
than genuine virtue,
Exactly.
which ironically
Oh,
can
yeah.
lead them to compromise their own principles,
It can.
like Hundred did when he changed Bell's grade.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder that even those with the strongest convictions can falter. Right? When that need to be right overrides their own moral code.
Yeah. And to cope with those inevitable moments of challenge
Yeah.
when their worldview is questioned,
Right.
they develop these really intricate
They do.
defense mechanisms.
Yes. The controlled demeanor,
Right.
the intellectualization of conflict,
Yeah.
turning confrontations into moral lessons.
Right.
These are all classic social one tactics
Yeah.
for maintaining that sense of control,
Right.
of superiority, even in the face of vulnerability.
But as we saw with Hunter's mirror,
Yes.
that rigidity,
That inability to adapt.
that inability to adapt can ultimately be their downfall.
It can.
Their conviction can actually blind them
Yes.
to other perspectives.
To the complexities of human nature,
Yeah.
leading to unintended consequences and
Yeah.
missed opportunities for genuine connection.
Which brings us back to that question.
Yeah, that lingering question.
Yeah, can someone with a social one personality truly change?
Can they break free from those deeply ingrained patterns?
It's a question that each of us,
Yeah.
as we reflect on this deep dive,
Yeah.
must answer for ourselves.
And perhaps that's the most important takeaway of all.
It might be.
This deep dive isn't just about analyzing a fictional character.
No.
It's about sparking self-reflection,
Yeah.
recognizing those social one tendencies within ourselves,
Where's
in
it-
our interaction,
In our relationship.
and asking, how can we use this knowledge to
Yeah.
evolve, to grow?
To become more understanding,
Yeah.
more compassionate individuals.
Because ultimately, isn't that the true measure of character?
It is.
Not this rigid adherence to a set of rules,
Right.
but the willingness to learn,
To adapt.
to see the world through multiple lenses,
Yeah.
and to embrace
Yeah.
the beautiful messiness
Yeah.
of the human experience.
And on that note,
Yes.
we'll leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
What if, instead of viewing the social one's need for correction as a negative, we reframe it as a potential strength?
What if, armed with self-awareness and a willingness to turn that critical eye inward,
Inward, yes.
they could harness that drive for improvement, not to control others,
Right.
but to become the best versions of themselves?
Imagine the possibilities.
Yeah.
If that unwavering conviction, that passion for betterment,
Yes.
could be channeled into personal growth,
Right.
to genuine connection,
Yeah.
and to making the world a more
Yeah.
just and compassionate place.
Perhaps that's the true legacy of William Hundert.
I think it is.
A lesson that transcends the boundaries of fiction
Yes.
and resonates deep within each of us.
Deep within each of us.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope it's given you some food for thought,
Some new insights.
some new insights into the complexities of personality,
Yes.
and perhaps even a renewed sense of hope for the transformative power of self-awareness.
Absolutely.
Until next time,
Yes.
keep exploring,
Keep questioning.
keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep.